Are we on? All right. Hello and welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. You are gathered with us tonight for the Cookout podcast where we talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling.
Eh, Yes, we are here as always on Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 in Sammy Central Time Zone. We're still waiting for Miss Anika. She should be here anytime so we can crack into episode number 5 of the Mr. McMahon Netflix documentary. I was just saying to Sammy before we came on the air that if we're going to get anything current and or new or anything that I guess we haven't really heard of, I would think it would be in the next couple episodes since there should be the way the timeline's going, it should be bringing us up to present. So um, we will see. Hopefully there'll be something of interest. I'm not going to say it's been disappointing. I'm just going to say it's been pretty formulaic in my opinion for WWE documentaries. There hasn't been a whole lot that I've heard that was like, oh, I didn't know that, or okay, if unless I mean, if you've never watched a WWE documentary or anything like that, then, you know, I can see how maybe but for anybody that has, or, any like rise and fall of the WWE, or not rise and fall, but the rise of the WWE, or rise and fall of the WCW, anything like that, a lot of this stuff, is it's pretty boilerplate for WWE documentaries. So hopefully we'll get some juicier stuff in episode 4 or 5 and 6. So let's see. If you're with us, we appreciate you being with us. If you're new to the YouTube channel, hit the bell or hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on the video, hit the bell to be notified. That's the best way to make sure that you get notified when we put something out on the YouTube channel. Let's see. Did you watch Monday Night Raw last night yet or no?
I haven't.
You have not. Have not. I am sure you did see. We're gonna try to waste a little time until Anita gets here. So even though this is a wrestling show, I'm gonna ask Sammy a football question. And I know this is terrible because all it's gonna do is piss me off. But I'm assuming you saw how bad my Cowboys performed on Sunday night.
I thought that they did a good job.
You thought that they did a good job.
Yeah.
In what regard?
I, you don't have to
What was
win to play well.
well, okay? So but how did they play well? I mean, they were down like 17, and then they came back to within like 7, but couldn't do anything and then ended up getting beat fairly easily. I'm not sure I like
Maybe I'm more forgiving than you. Like I think the worst one off is the Baltimore Ravens. Like they lost to the freaking Browns. Like you lost to the people who were in the Super Bowl last year.
this is true. This is true. At the same time, I mean, 3-4 is not very good. 2 games back in the division, and as of right now, definitely not on a playoff trajectory. So that's extremely disappointing. And Dak is probably having the worst season of his career, or at least last night was, or last this week was one of his worst games of his career. So, and he's making 45 million a season or 40 million a season. Like, I want to strangle somebody. But I guess it is what it is. I guess if Anika isn't here in the next minute or two, we'll go ahead and start, and she can just kind of jump in when she gets here. What was your standout for this week in the NFL?
Say again.
What was your standout for this week in the NFL? Who, player, game, what? I mean, what was the thing that stood out most to you this week?
Um, I'll go Jameis Winston. Like Deshaun got hurt. He stepped in. He's the quarterback for the Browns now. He'll be the quarterback for the Browns for the rest of the season. And like, dude, they beat the freaking Ravens. Like, what? That was not on my bingo card.
Yeah. No, I mean, Jameis Winston has had his ups and downs in the league, and he's had moments where he's played very good, moments where he's
He,
played pretty
he
bad. I mean,
used to play with the Bucks, and I remember he got a lot of picks.
yeah, he played with the Saints too for a few seasons, and he was okay there. Um, I mean, he's a solid backup quarterback. I think the real question becomes, is Deshaun Watson a starting quarterback? And I'm not sure that he is. I don't. The jury's still out because his career is still fairly young, but it's not very pro.
Well, he's not one of those like high IQ quarterbacks, you know?
Did you just call him stupid?
He doesn't play at the level of like a Patrick Mahomes or a Tom Brady.
Well, nobody plays at the levels of Patrick Mahomes
Or
or Tom Brady. There's only two of them.
well, I mean Peyton Manning it had the highest IQ though, and I don't compare anybody to Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
where dudes
yeah.
can like make plays, they can come up with plays, they can memorize all these different plays. Like he has his wheelhouse. He has a couple plays that he knows how to do and he's good at. He learned them at Clemson in college, and he can do the Clemson offense. And then the Houston Texans drafted him. They realized, oh, he can only do this, and they traded him away. And the Browns ended up not realizing that he's not got the biggest wheelhouse. What he does well, he does well. He does not do things that aren't those things. And
I
if you
mean,
know those things, then it's easier to beat them.
no, I think that's fair to say. And I mean, to be fair, both teams. I mean, Houston's playing well with C.J. Stroud. You can kind of see the difference between good young quarterbacks when you're looking at the difference between C.J. Stroud and Deshaun
Um,
Watson. But at the same time, I mean, Cleveland is an historically bad franchise, and even though you might have one or two or even maybe three good players around somebody, they just have this air about them, right? And so, I even though they're probably better now than they have been in the past, and they have some things to be optimistic about as far as good players go, it's still the Cleveland Browns. So Deshaun
the
Watson gets
Cleveland
a hair of a pass for me just because it's the Cleveland Browns. Um, so yeah, I don't know.
the
But
Cleveland
yeah, I mean
Browns sued Baltimore Ravens for their Super Bowl win.
mhm, yep,
Like that's Baltimore's win. That is not the Browns. Like yes, the Browns sued them for it, but that is Baltimore's win. Baltimore was the team that won it. They just were in Cleveland and called the Browns at the time.
right. All right. I'm asking Anika if she's coming. If not, we're going to start the episode in 2 minutes and just push on with what we're here for to watch episode 5 of the Mr. McMahon Netflix documentary and talk some wrestling. I thought, depending on what was going on, we could just do a little quick down and dirty review, even though we did watch it. You weren't here, though, of Halloween Havoc. It was only 5 matches, so it'll be quick to talk to. And then maybe a quick little preview of what you'll call it this weekend, Crown Jewel. Speaking of Crown Jewel, did you see the big well, if you haven't seen Riot, you might not have seen it. The big stupid Crown Jewel belt. Everyone says it looks good. It does looks good. It's just a stupid idea. It's just a dumb thing to do. There's nothing wrong with the belt itself. It's a
Like
stupid thing.
honestly, I don't quite get the idea personally.
Yeah, I don't
Like
either.
when is this going to be defended? Is this going to be on TV post the show? Like is the dude
Right,
going to be wearing it? Does
right. I mean, it's
so
pretty, so
they're
I
going to have
assume
two
so.
belts?
Right?
If
Yeah,
somebody beats them for the world championship, do they also win the crown jewel belt too?
I have no clue. As usual, WWE, just make it make sense. All right, let's get it started. You ready?
Well, I suppose so.
All right. Let's click play on the count of three. Uno, dos, tres. Let's go. All right, we are underway. Dun dun dun. Really? I tried to turn the volume down. I hit the wrong button. Come on, stupid. All right, intro time. Paul Heyman starting off talking. Well, little kid Vince looks just like older Vince.
Yeah, he does.
It's kind of eerie how similar they look.
Uh, I wonder, like, if people think I look like I did when I was a kid, because I don't think I do at all.
We literally just pressed play, so
Okay.
uh, I'll pause for a sec. Let's see. Pause for a
Mine.
second. It's hard to tell exactly. I've got 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 35 seconds left on my. It doesn't tell me how
Well,
far I'm in. It tells me what I have left.
okay.
I got you paused before I did. I got 1 hour, 3 minutes, 21 seconds left.
Uh,
I'll go
I
back
got
10.
I got David
1 hour and
Shoemaker.
3 minutes.
Oh,
Yep, and 35 seconds.
Netflix just closed out on me, so I'm actually gonna
Oh,
be in
sweet.
the tail end there. All right, Netflix is loading back up.
All
They
right.
didn't like me
So
trying to rewind.
all right. So I must. So I have it at 1 minute and 30. What have I have it at 1 minute. 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 21 seconds. Yeah,
Okay.
press play.
All right. Let's see.
My
I'll do it.
apologies.
It's okay. It's okay.
No, when your family wants stuff and they know you have to do something,
Oh yeah. It always works like that.
it
All
just
right.
right now. Okay.
Sammy, is your Netflix loaded?
Yep, it's
All
it's
right.
playing.
Okay, let's get it started. 1, 2, 3, and play. Okay, here's somebody's TV.
Okay. Might be mine.
Is the old woman in the wheelchair, was that his mom?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, she's too old to be Linda. We were just talking about how much Vince McMahon looks the same as a little kid as he does as an adult.
Right. Like, where is that little boy? Bring him back, cause this grown man needs Jesus.
You know, it's weird to think that all of the worst, well, maybe not normal, but all like everybody started off as like an innocent little kid to some extent, right? And then the worst of the worst develop as they go. But it's bizarre how some people develop in the way that they do, and like, oh, they were so cute, and then they just become a monster. It's like, oh, dude,
Right.
that's not right. Jane O'Mac. I can still hear someone's TV.
Oh,
Sorry.
what interview is this?
I have no idea. Stephanie and Shane. Who was that? Who was that interviewing him?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know Phil Donahue or somebody.
Shane and Vince. So they're talking about Vince and Shane's relationship right now, and Vince's relationship with his children in general.
Oh, he's so cute with his little ring announcer, with his little sort of what's it called referee thing.
I don't remember referee Shane or announcer Shane, and that's weird because I watched wrestling during all this time, but I don't remember either of those.
Well, and you tell me, the '80s, did they really focus on ring announcers and referees like that? I know for me.
I don't think they did until Howard Finkel.
I mean, kind of yes and no. I was so in the 80s, the shows like the weekly shows were done different. They were more studio shows. And they were done more like they were recorded matches with the guys in the studios, talking about them and doing the play-by-play like that. And they had Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura, and they did all. I mean, they did a bunch of commentary and stuff for the matches every week, and so yeah, I mean, in those regards, they paid attention to him. And then, yeah, at one point with the Hart Foundation, you had Dangerous Danny Davis, who was a referee that ended up turning heel and helping the Hart Foundation win the championships, and then started to wrestle and eventually got beat up. I mean, so yes and no. I mean, and Earl Hebner's been Earl. I mean, you've known Earl
Right.
Hebner forever, and he's been around forever. So I mean, I remember when he was around, in the 80s and the 90s. So to a certain
You
extent, I mean,
also
yes and no.
you also had the interviewer, Mean Gene Okerlund.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, basically the Renee Paquette or the whatever you want to, whoever you want to
Yes.
equate it to. But a lot, I mean, in my opinion, a lot better. Renee's great, but Howard or Mean Gene was Mean Gene. I mean, he's one of the all-time great backstage, interview guys, or
That's my first storyline. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I
This
I
is the
think
best storyline ever.
I think it's
Yeah,
good though that like his son wanted a job and he was like, okay, you can sweep the ring, you can check the coats. Like,
yeah,
starting out, don't trust you with much, but you can sweep and you can hang coats.
yeah. I mean, I think it all depends. I mean, there's obviously a fine line between, nepotism and giving your a family member a job just because they're a family member, but there are other family members that actually are qualified for certain jobs, right? I mean, it's not like every family member that gets a job just gets it because they're a family member. Sometimes they actually are qualified, know what they're doing, have the education, all those kinds of things. I mean, I mean, if indeed I had gone to, let's say my dad owned a business like this, and I had gone to school and I had a business degree or a marketing degree and from a good school and had the ability to go out on my own, separate from my dad's company, and get a good paying job as a, whatever, and he wanted to make me start sweeping floors, then I'd be pissed off. I mean, that would be a
Yeah.
different situation. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one thing when you're 15 or 16 and it's your first job, start sweeping floors, that's fine, setting up the ring. But if you're 25 out of school, you got a degree, you know what you're doing, you can go get your own job, and you want to start at the bottom, yeah, I don't know about that. You don't have to make me vice president or make me the boss. I mean, obviously there's an issue with that, but like, I'm not starting at the bottom either. Just because I'm your kid and you don't want to make it look like whatever. And I don't have any idea about Vince's or Stephanie's real education or anything about that or anything like that. So I mean, I
I
have
know.
no
Um,
idea.
well, isn't it the same with Vince, where like when he came in, he started at the bottom, did he not?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, his dad, gave him a job. I don't remember exactly what they said he was doing. They talked about it in that first episode. I don't remember exactly what they said he was doing, but I don't know that he was sweeping floors and putting up the ring. I mean, I think it was, somewhat entry level, but I don't know it was that entry level. I mean, I think they basically just characterized it as working for his dad, but
Now, see, here it is, right? If this is
Reign of
your
Terror.
company, I really don't care about nepotism. No offense. I don't care. It's like, it's your company. I get you want to pass it on to your kids. It's more so the businesses where, oh, so it ain't your kid. I'm just getting looked over. And it's more so that, like, you want to limitize and pass your stuff on down to your kids. I'm all for that, but let me get paid in the process as well.
Okay, so it says Vince's first role was as ring announcer before moving to play-by-play commentator.
So I mean, I would not say ring announcer is bottom of the barrel. I mean, I would say
No,
that's probably
sweeping
middle
the
of the road.
ring.
And potentially, I mean, that's middle to top end of probably the jobs out there that you can have as far as being part of a wrestling production, I would think. I mean, yeah, he's not cleaning the blood up off the mat or taking it down and putting up the ring. I mean, maybe I'm sure he did. I'm sure he has, and did at different times. But like,
I'm
I mean, I'm
like,
torn. Listen, if you have a private company and you've got 15 people total and 4 of them are family members and it's a family business, that's fine. If you're a major, like, Fortune 500 company, and it was started by your family, and you're on the New York Stock Exchange, you got a bunch of stockholders, and you got a big asset portfolio, and you're bringing in your kid that doesn't know shit about shit just because he's your kid? That's not cool. I'm not okay with that. I don't care whose fucking
I
business it is.
I think the tiers are owner, booker, commentator, uh, interviewer, then announcer.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah.
See,
I
okay.
mean, look at AEW. Who's higher on the totem pole, Renee Paquette or Justin Roberts? Like
Oh,
interviewer, announcer. Who's higher on that totem pole?
I don't know. That's a good question. I
Only
don't know.
your daddy. Only your daddy. It's 6 days before they actually get married, and daddy says, "Hey, let's do a street fight before your freaking wedding." What a freak! Tell my
Uh,
Linda was like, "She gets a black eye, I'm divorcing you."
I mean, I'm not sure that I see Renee. I don't know that there is a difference between Justin Roberts and Renee Paquette. I mean, I don't know. Oh, I guess we lost Sammy for a minute. I don't know if his internet
Oh,
cut out or what, but I'm sure he'll be back.
this is what I want to know. Are they still freaking married, bruh? Are they?
Linda and Vince?
Yeah, because they never said they got a divorce. Like they never said that they're estranged. I'm like, what
Right.
is this?
Yeah, I have no idea.
And this is totally me being. I totally just want all the tea.
Oh, his mom introduced him to Linda.
Hmm.
He said he was 16.
She was so. She is pretty, but like, oh, like okay, this young Linda.
Right. He said she wasn't rich, she was middle class, and I was attracted to that. I had kind of a bad boy reputation in high school, he said.
I bet he did.
He was 17 when they got married. Ooh, that's young.
I guess
I
back in the
promised her there'd
day,
never be a dull moment.
like I don't think. Yeah, I don't think the worst stunner in the world. Like, why would you make her do that?
That's not the understatement of a lifetime. There'll never be a dull moment. Holy smoke. And this isn't what I meant when I said I wanted some excitement in my life.
Right?
Holy shit. Oh, man. That's brutal.
See, yeah, I just show that whole scene. Cause like that was that's when I'm sorry. That's when Triple H won her over. So that one when she that part she was announcing something. A crazy fan actually was exiting the ramp and Triple H actually stopped him from hitting Linda. It's like, oh, okay, so you're my son-in-law now. I don't care.
Right. The whole Chris, Linda, Vince love triangle, I guess.
Oh, this was no. This is a triangle. There's no love. We all knew this.
It's just a triangle. Catatonic Linda. Remember when she walked for the first time again?
That was. It's still crazy. I was watching.
Somebody's got an echo.
I think that was. I
My
think that's Sammy. Yeah.
my tablet overheated, so I'm
Oh,
on my phone now.
okay.
Cool.
What'd you say though?
No. It's crazy. I was watching a Royal Rumble marathon, and I've never seen honestly from the last Royal Rumble. WrestleMania. The last WrestleMania I saw was 14, and I didn't go back to watching WrestleManias until 2007. So I missed the Attitude Era WrestleManias. Now because I didn't like them, just no money. So watching them on the WWE Network, that pop was insane. Like, oh gosh, she's standing up, she's alive.
Right. And then slapping Vince. Everybody loved that.
You kicked him in the balls. She kicked him in
Right.
the balls. But like, even though I really didn't miss watching the WrestleManias because the Raw after Mania back then was so good, and they showed you what happened. So I like Monday. Okay, it's Monday night. What happened? Oh shoot! This what actually happened. Oh shoot!
You know, it's been 20 years. Linda looks about the same. Like
Linda looks
perks of
the
being rich.
same.
Vince said, "I don't think our family had an objection to it because they knew I was in character. Trish was in character. Nobody had a problem with it."
Whatever.
Vince Shane said, "My first reaction was no. My mom's kind of sacred to me, but." Shane's a bit more conservative than the rest of us. No, you mean a bit more normal.
That's my mama, you idiot. What are you talking about? You was kissing this big boob chick in front of my mama. And hey, Trish worked. She's a legend. But at that time, no, you kissing this big boob chick in front of my mama.
She said 15 years later, Trish says they'll still ask her. There was this time you got on all fours and barked like a dog. Unreal. Come on. Hit the wrong button again.
Okay. I'm not.
Right?
No offense, but as a Coming to America fan, what's the difference between this and Eddie Murphy telling the girl, "Break a gog,
right?
Hop on one leg."
No, to a certain extent, you are correct.
Now taking her top off, that's dumb. All right, all right, come on. Yeah, okay, yeah. Now we're doing too much. Wait, did you take a bra off? I don't remember this. I don't remember all of this.
I don't remember her taking her bra off. She didn't show her actual boobies, did she? I don't remember this.
Cause don't the Rock come out? When is the Rock coming out?
Oh, that I don't remember either.
Yeah. Yeah. See, okay, like you're. I think, and that's for me too. Where it's like, if it just ended with that scene, right? It's like that's totally wrong. But she does get to kick him in the balls. It's like that. Yeah. Now her getting hurt.
I mean, I don't know. It's
the
whole thing's in really bad taste. Let's just put it like that. The whole thing is in really bad taste.
I mean, a lot of things have been.
Yeah, no doubt, 100%. I mean, to be fair, that is the one thing that I really, really, really hoped we would be getting away from outside of the Vince McMahon era is some of that really slimy, sleazy, bad storytelling, like really bad storytelling. Like
I'm trying to. Well, okay, sorry. Use your words, Anika. Useful sentences. I'm trying to think of the last time we went that slimy. Even with Mandy Rose in NXT, it was the only thing was the whole slow cam entrance, but she wasn't doing anything, this stupid. It's
Right. No, I mean they definitely toned it down a lot. I mean, I guess they went from the Attitude Era essentially to the PG era, right? Or
right.
there was some in between, I guess. I don't know what era was in between. I guess there was some little in between, but
Ruthless aggression.
I was just about to say Ruthless Aggression, I think, is in between there
Yeah.
or something. So, but yeah, I mean, definitely with the advent of the new PG era again, or back to the PG era, I guess, because in the '80s they were fairly PG, so in the very early '90s they were fairly PG. So, yeah, I mean, you should get away from a lot of that stuff, and even
It's PG-13 esque because like occasionally there will be a bad word.
yeah, there definitely is. And I mean, it's not always just sex that makes a rating either. I mean, the blood has stuff to do with it. How many times you're gonna kick somebody in the balls, or the language, like you said. All those things have. It's not just about
Uh,
the sexual content. There's literally
but
kicking them in the balls.
there is a thing that I'm thinking that they did in the PG era where like somebody went into the locker room and Alexa Bliss was changing.
I
Yeah, I
That
kind of
remember that.
remember that, and that was kind of stupid. I think that was like you can tell, with no offense, Vince McMahon lost his mind. Like, and not
Right.
even like sexually, but it was like you're going back to your old ways, not in a good way, and you're repeating matches. Come on, the Mandy Rose thing. That's when, oh my god, that's when Triple H had his heart attack or his heart condition, and Vince went down trying to ruin stuff. And thank God Triple H, HBK was there, so he didn't get to override everything. But yeah, that you can tell it was hilarious. People were like, I don't know which shows were on my that little iffy part of 2022 to now, and Vince came back. People were like, I don't know which show is just straight up Vince and which one was influenced. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You can clearly see who Vince likes and why they're on the show, and you can clearly see Triple H likes and why they're on the show. It is. You can tell the difference.
Oh, you can. You can.
FTR shaving each other's backs in the shower.
Like that is not what like that's not a Triple H thing they can do. And then that's crazy because looking at what they're doing with the Outrunners, it's like, why can't you just do that on WWE? Like that
Now we're
that's
talking
the,
about
that, that's
Sable.
the thing FTR could have done. That would have been hilarious with the out, but you didn't have an Outrunners tag
Oh,
team,
that
but
gimmick
still.
that they offered them with like the Flavor Flav clock and F- FTR just being like, okay, sure, we'll do it. And them realizing right then and there that like, oh, they don't care at all. That like here we
Right?
are trying to rib them with this stupid gimmick, and like they're just like fine, like they're
Oh, I
already
didn't know.
checked out.
I never knew Sable actually sued WWE. I know that she
Yeah,
complained about some of the stuff, but I didn't know there was an actual lawsuit.
yeah, she sued them and then came back.
And married Brock Lesnar. I'm not saying I'm not saying right or wrong. It's just the whole thing is bizarre in my. Oh God! This one got nasty. I'm like, okay, you're old, right? You were old in the night. You were old in 1998, but now you're really pronouncedly looking like you're a nasty old
Oh,
man, sir.
right. Yeah, yeah. I just The fact that you would even write your own creative to make your character this guy, and the guy that gets on TV and calls himself a genetic or sexual jackhammer, whatever he said, genetic jackhammer, I think is what he
That's
said.
what it was.
I like, really, dude, like, come on.
Which is a little too close to Scott Steiner saying that he's a genetic freak.
This is your show. This is your platform. It's your script. You can write it any way you want, and this is what you come up with. It just tells you what kind of person he is, because this is how his brain thinks.
See, no offense. This is what I want to hear. This is what I want to hear from Linda about this time. Like, how does she really feel about this?
It crushed Linda, it says. It's not something I'm proud of. So he actually did have an affair with Sable, or no?
I don't think the affair was Sable, but like he just had an affair.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was a Sable.
Okay.
Unless I missed it, I don't think it was Sable though.
Really, the sex was terrific, but from an emotional standpoint, I regret it. I learned a lot about the ramifications of sex if you're married. What?
Yeah. Now, granted, this is a Playboy, so he had to play it up, right?
I guess, yeah, I suppose.
So I mean, like that part of the sex, I'm like right. You better be glad this is in Playboy, yeah.
Paul said he had one monogamous relationship in his whole life, and that's what the business he built.
But this is.
Vince doesn't own the business. The business owned Vince McMahon.
I love Paul Heyman.
I do too. He seems like one of the few guys that really kind of gets it, just in general.
Right? Yeah.
And I don't even know what it is, but he gets it. Whatever it is, he gets it.
I really don't know if this man loves this business or not. But you can, Paul Heyman loves this. He loves doing this. There's no ill will when he thinks about wrestling.
I think they love it for different reasons, right? I think Vince McMahon loves it for what it is, the money that it brings him, the notoriety. I think for Vince McMahon, it probably could have been anything. It just happened to be wrestling because that's where his dad was doing, and that's where it was. Whereas Paul Heyman actually loves wrestling, and he's there for the wrestling. I mean, he's there because he's a wrestling fan.
Exactly. What the hell? Really, Vince Russo? Viagra on a pole?
Viagra on a pole.
Why are you eating it? Oh my God.
What is he trying? Booker. We're talking about the Monday Night Wars right now.
Yeah.
Booker talking about how it's hard to go to war with the wrong people in the office. Didn't know he got Eric Bischoff on the phone. In your opinion, who has been worse for wrestling, Eric Bischoff or Vince Russo?
That's a hard question for me to answer. Because I honestly didn't know about Vince Russo until the aftermath. So I don't know exactly what exactly storylines did he say or he didn't say. I'm like, now I'm slowly learning the stuff that he was doing.
Right.
And then like the whole the WCW one where Hulk Hogan didn't want to drop the belt to
Right.
Booker T, and they had this whole thing in front of everybody, and it's like,
Right.
I'm trying to no offense, and that's Vince Russo that everybody hates. I'm kind of on his side because we can't keep the belt on the old man who's had it for so long, and no one cares about the belt no more.
Yeah. I know. Sammy, what do you think? Oh, we lost him again. I was gonna say, for me personally, I don't. It's hard to choose. It's kind of six of one, half dozen of the other. I mean, I think Eric Bischoff had more time in wrestling, so I think he's had more probably of an impact. Vince was
Mm-hmm.
around, Vince Russo was around, but I think his tenure in wrestling in general was less time overall. Um, and definitely less time on camera. So for me personally, like I I, I absolutely okay, let me rephrase this. Now it's less than it was, but back in the day, I absolutely despised Eric Bischoff. I mean, literally despised him. Like, I hated Eric Bischoff with every fabric of my of my being. So, and I never really felt that way about Vince Russo. Vince Russo's an idiot, and I don't agree with a lot of the stuff, like his
Right?
creative ideas. But I didn't have the same negative feelings about him as I did about Eric Bischoff. So, Sammy, what about you? Who do you think had
Was it
more
Eric
impact, or
Bischoff the person or Eric Bischoff the character?
either way, however you want to talk about it? More who's
Honestly, I
worse,
was a
Eric
fan of
Bischoff
Eric
or Vince
Bischoff.
Russo? Were you
Yeah. Although
the
I was a
on-screen
WCW guy.
personality? Yeah.
Like,
Even as a fan of WCW, I never liked Eric Bischoff. I just always thought he was slimy, and I never liked him.
he was the best heel though. Like you're smiling and you're being and you in my face and you're making me mad while you're still smiling. I want to punch you in the throat.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely was supposed to be hated, and he made me hate him for sure. I mean, he was really good
Yes.
at it, no doubt about it. But I think he's kind of a jerk in general too. I mean, I think so is Vince Russo, though. I mean, from what I understand, I mean, when you see interviews with both of them, they're both kind of jerks. So
Oh yeah.
why does it seem like that seems to be kind of a required criteria to be in wrestling? Like, it feels like it's full of fucking jerks. Like,
Because
like
it's like no matter where you come from or how you got to the business, the foundation of these big brutes of men releasing some sort of aggression. So there's definitely a lot of pent up testosterone and aggression.
yeah, agreed.
Like I love what Becky Lynch said. She was like, even though you like to have matches and it's just for sportsmanship, storyline wise, that's not gonna get the crowd started. Me hating you and then I want to fight you. That's what's gonna get the crowd started on the match.
Yeah.
The XFL. Remember watching this? It wasn't bad.
It wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible.
But you are going against the NFL, which has been out. Like, no offense, like it got some years on you. It's not the territory, where it's like 5 territories you're trying to crush. It's one big corporation.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, I get that there's a lot of athletes that don't make it to the next level, whether it's baseball, whether it's basketball, whether it's football, if those, whichever your sport is that you're playing, or if you play multiple sports, whatever, and how hard it is to reach that next level, and that there's, thousands of athletes that don't, at the
Yeah.
same time, I hate to say this. There's kind of a reason why they don't, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, I don't no disrespect, but watching the XFL, watching the USFL or the UFL, and
Arena
the subsequent
football,
stuff.
yeah.
Even arena football is a little different just because of the nuance of being in the arena makes it a little bit different. But yes, in general, what I'm going to refer to as minor league football just is not all that fun for me. It just isn't. So
Yeah.
The
I mean, good.
the XFL is to the NFL what AEW is to the NFL. I mean, to WWE.
I don't know about
Like
that.
you had this one thing that cornered the market for decades and decades, had a monopoly, had all the best people, and then another place showed up and was like, "Hey, we want to do this too."
Yeah, but luckily for AEW, they've been able to acquire a lot of top-notch talent where
Oh
XFL
yes,
never did that. I
no,
mean,
they didn't.
if the XFL had a Patrick Mahomes or had gotten at the time, whoever it was, a Zeke Elliott or a top player or whoever you're talking about, the best player in the league at the time, then that's one thing. I mean, AEW just got Will Ospreay instead of WWE. So I mean, that's not a real fair comparison. I mean.
That's true.
And I think that's probably their biggest issue, honestly, is that they don't have that standout talent. Now, to be fair, football is such a brutal sport that standout talent isn't playing it all year round. And they paid
Well,
enough. When Patrick Mahomes is making $40 million, he's not going to go play in the XFL in his off season. Sorry.
well, the biggest problem is that like with the it's the is it the UFL now or the
Yeah.
USFL?
No, it's the UFL.
The problem is that whenever a player does really good,
Yeah, they
they
get
get
swooped up
signed
by
to the
the NFL.
NFL. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. I mean, it's essentially minor league football, which is fine. It's just not overly exciting to me.
like the Detroit Lions, they just took the kicker that was playing for the Michigan Panthers.
Uh-huh.
So like he's one of the best kickers, and
I mean,
the NFL
more power.
saw it and was like, okay, we'll pay you millions of dollars to come here and play with us.
Yeah, I mean, more power to them to give athletes that don't make it to the NFL another venue to play football. But it just doesn't move the needle for me a whole lot. I've watched it, and I did watch it, and maybe more than some other people, and at the same time, it just isn't overly good football. I mean, it's mediocre football.
Is the problem the players or is it coaches?
Who knows? I think it's talent overall. I mean, like I was telling Anika. I mean, to be fair, I know that there's way more players than there are spots, at the top levels of whatever sport it is. But there's a reason why certain people make it and certain people don't. And I'm not saying that there haven't been plenty of undrafted guys that have come in and been super talented and maybe even Hall of Famers. I'm sure there's. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but you can't tell me there hasn't been a Hall of Famer that went undrafted. But as a general rule, I think overall, as a general rule, the reason that you didn't get drafted or don't make it, is because your talent probably isn't quite there. And so you play in another league and you do okay, but it's not,
Kurt
the
Warner.
yeah, yeah.
I
Well, I mean,
don't
Kurt
understand.
Warner's is an example. He would be the outlier on that. I mean, no doubt. I mean,
Went to three Super Bowls, won one of them, but honestly, like he should have won at least two of those three.
yeah, and I mean that's why there's only been one Kurt Warner, right? I mean his story is unique because nobody else has been able to do that. No one else has come from playing arena league football and then stocking shelves to being Super Bowl winner, Super Bowl MVP. I mean, and he's the only one that's ever done that. So at least as best I know, at least from the story being publicly known like that. So I mean, that's a once in a lifetime thing. I mean that's the thing. I mean, not there. There's only one Peyton Manning. There's only one Joe Montana. There's not hundreds of these guys. There's only one Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, it's tough. And
Although,
unfortunately,
I was gonna say there was only one Michael Vick, but honestly, a lot of players these days are playing like Michael Vick did.
Yeah, and I mean, I liked Michael Vick, as a player at the time, but I never thought he was like a transcendent talent. I thought he was a solid football player, but I never thought like, oh my God, Michael Vick's changing the world of football. You know,
He was
Like
the guy was
he was just
Brock
like the first person.
Purdy, and Justin Herbert. They kind of got that Michael Vick style to them.
Just more so, he was like the first person in a very, very long time. Like, oh, he doesn't have to stay in the pocket. Oh, he's actually running if there was no one in sight. Oh, he's actually getting yards. Oh, snap, you can actually do this. It was like escalation
yeah.
of an escalation of revelations. Oh, your quarterback does not have to stay in the pocket if there's no one open.
Yeah. No, I mean he
Yeah,
was.
look, the fact that like the coaches back in the '90s viewed that as a negative from Kurt Warner, it's like no, like he moves fast. He has to move fast. The game is a fast-paced game. He's not going to stay in the pocket when no one's open and just get sacked for -5 yards every time. He's going to move to the side and possibly move forward so he can at least break even and not lose yards.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Vick was always, in my opinion, his greatest ability was just that he was super athletic. Like he was.
Well, he took it to another level compared to Kurt Warner, where Michael Vick was like, "Oh, I'll actually charge forward. I won't just move to the side and break even. I'm gonna make yards."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he definitely isn't the first guy either to do that. I mean, Randall Cunningham did that. Warren Moon did that. Steve McNair did that. I mean, all those guys.
The biggest name might be Archie Manning, but he didn't have a choice. He had no O line. He had
Right.
no one guarding him. It was him with a bunch of defensive linemen coming straight at his face every single snap. Like he had to move.
He's talking about bringing Hogan back. He said that's what the fans want, so you either play to Kaka and bring him back. Nice, Vince.
Oh, so what I was gonna say. Oh, so you'll give us this, but you didn't give us freaking Sting versus Taker or that whole invasion angle. Like, no offense, that whole invasion angle, it was so much it was so much meat on the bone that you didn't give us, man.
No, it's one of those arbitrary lines in the sand, right? Yeah, it's amazing how he's willing to suck it up and eat the plate of poop when it's Hulk Hogan. You know what I'm saying? Because he knows,
Right.
he knows what Hogan brings with him. Even at this point, he still knows what Hogan brings with him. So even though he doesn't like him, it's a known commodity, and it's whatever. So The Rock versus Hogan. Oh, The Rock about to whip him with his weight. I mean, Hogan about to whip him with his weight belt.
Like no offense. In what world? And look, I'm a nostalgic person. It does take me a minute to leave my old. It did take me a minute to leave my favorites and say, here are the newcomers. But in what world does Hulk Hogan beat The Rock? Even in this, and I know this is right after NWO is still hot. People still love. Yeah, people are still loving NWO. I ain't gonna say WCW, but NWO was definitely still hot. But no, if you let Bill Goldberg beat Hulk Hogan, heck yeah, The Rock's beat Hulk Hogan. I'm back and better
I'm
than
better than
ever.
ever.
That was that. You're gonna burn. You're gonna burn.
I've been playing a lot of Madden.
Oh yeah. Oh, Vince beating
I,
up Eric Bischoff.
Like, no offense. Vince said no. There's no grudges. Yes, there is. Like you can tell in the heat of the moment, Triple H versus Sting, WrestleMania 31. I just love the match. I really didn't care who won. Then looking back, it's like, why didn't you let Sting win? Like you could have let Sting win this one.
Letting Brett get his little redemption, putting Mr. McMahon in the sharpshooter.
And here comes the end of the Attitude Era. This last WrestleMania.
I still think it's petty overall, the whole deal with the Montreal Screwjob and Brett not wanting to lose the title to Shawn, and I'm not going to do it there, I'll do it the next night, and wanting it his way. That being said, he did get screwed over in the moment, and I do love Brett's reaction. Just the whole like spitting in the face and actually punching Vince and all that. Like, he got his money worth. He got his money's worth for getting punched. No doubt about it. Like, in real life, he got his money's worth, not just in the ring, like getting to put the sharpshooter on, 15 years later or 10 years later, but in the moment, like. That's how you know Bret Hart's a real one, right? Like, you're not gonna fuck me like that. I'm not the one. Oh, now the Rocket movies.
All right, yep. This is like essentially you can't when those two leave, and even then okay, echo.
Yeah, there's an echo.
Gross.
We're good.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, essentially when Rock and Stone Cold leave, that really is the end. Like, even though we're talking about this, it was not just them two in the Attitude Era, but they were the main stake for the Attitude Era. We do have to do something different. We have to do something different. We have to change it up. Not drastically, because I think people who are still Attitude Era fans are still there, but you do have to move on.
It's very interesting to change eras when you still have the same guys.
It's so, like I said,
it's weird to see the same faces, but all of a sudden it's like supposedly a different era. like
you said, that era was only give or take 4 or 5 years, depending who you ask, right? So it's like, you seem like you have promise. I do like you, but you can't be my favorite just yet. You can't be my favorite just yet. The flip side was HBK came back, so I'm like, oh, you definitely can't beat him. Like, I'm sorry, and then he came back, and he's like, he wants people. Oh, I'm like, baby, I know you're better now. I know you want to put people over, but you're my favorite. I need you to be one of these jokers. Just
one. The debut of John Cena and the I'm going to beat you, Kurt Angle, because of ruthless aggression. That kicks off the ruthless aggression era, supposedly.
I remember him saying that clear as day. It's crazy how your mind remembers particular stuff. I don't like him. I don't like John Cena, but even before PG era, I remember him saying that clear as day. Like, the greatness is there. No matter how it gets there, greatness is there, and when you're witnessing it.
Yeah, the reason that I always liked John Cena was because I feel like He does true. He's one of those guys that truly loves wrestling. He
Yeah.
was limited. He was very limited, I think, in some of his athletic abilities. But I feel like he was one of those guys that always worked hard to try to get better and really wanted to get better. It feels like there's some guys that don't care. They just rest on their laurels. They're either talented and they know it and they just rest on that, or they just, don't come to work all the time. They only put in half effort. I feel like Cena's one of those guys that works at 100% all the time and
Oh
gives
yeah.
100% effort at everything that he does. And in that regard, I've always kind of respected that about him.
Oh, John Cena said it was actually Stephanie who gave him the spotlight. That he's like, all right, we're gonna put you on. Like instead of you just being in trunks and being generic white guy number 7, let's put the character together.
It's unfair because the actual the rapping part of what he did really wasn't all that terrible. I mean, it's a little corny and a little cheesy, but it wasn't really all that terrible. But why does it that every time someone, and I know it's wrestling, so it's always over the top, but why is it that when someone does that, they have to try to go out of their way to make them look like uber urban? Like, why does he have to put the hat on sideways and, the
Yeah.
jersey? And, why do you have to try to make them look what you think is, I guess, black? Like, you can't just be a white dude that likes rap and rap. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they do it
Yeah.
in a way that almost makes it look comedic and clownish. And it's offensive.
Like, no offense, it's only one group who made it look easy and successful, and it was the Beastie Boys. So, like, unless you was the Beastie Boys, and like you said, that's only the one group.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think Eminem's done a fairly decent job of, not
Culture
being
vulture. Yeah.
too much of a culture vulture. But even
Yeah.
him sometimes, and don't get me wrong, you are who you are, and I get it. You're not changing for nobody, and I get it. But even sometimes when I see him with the do rag and it's it's a little much. Like it's a little
Yeah.
much. You don't have to go
Um,
that far. You don't have to go that extreme.
I remember a thing with Aquafina where
Mhm.
they accused her of using black scent, and she was just like, "Bitch, I'm from New York. What do you expect?"
Who?
Aquafina.
Yeah. But have you heard her talk like that after she made it big? She doesn't. So no offense. Okay.
I do think some of it is definitely cultural and where you grow up, and where you're from and those kind of things. I mean, but at the same time, there's a difference between authentically being that kind of person and then, acting like acting like it when it's something you're not, right? And I'm not saying that Eminem is not. I'm just saying sometimes it feels a little over the top for me with him. And I love him. I mean, he's in my top 3 favorite rappers of all time. So I mean, I'm a huge Eminem fan, but more for the music than him personally. Like, there's nothing wrong with him personally. He's a great dude. Like, for all intents and purposes, he sounds like a pretty good dude. He stands on a lot of the same side of social issues as I do, and those kind of things. He always supports the same candidates that I do, and in a lot of regards, and those kind of things. So, he's been a really good father. He adopted his niece and all sorts of other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, for all intents and purposes, he sounds like a pretty good guy. So, I mean, at the same time,
I mean, also people talk a lot of shit, is undeserved about him too. Like, there was a big thing of, he's not actually from Detroit. And somebody went
Right.
to the house that he grew up in and said, okay, here's his house. And you see 20 feet away from me is a railroad track. On the other side of that railroad track is Detroit.
Right.
He's from 20 yards outside of Detroit. How is he not from Detroit?
Right.
Like, when you live that fucking close, it counts.
No doubt.
And sometimes it's really the publicist, and when you're young in your career, they're like, "Well, okay, so you're a rap." It's like, and then sometimes you have to grow into. It's like, all right, I don't need to do this. I know better now. You can put the dude out of your way. I don't need that. Go on about your business.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the older he's gotten, the more a little bit more, reserved, not in the music, but just in his personality, like in his character and the way he dresses and stuff. I mean, I don't know that I care for the beard, but again, that's nitpicking and stuff, and who am I to say anything about the way anybody else looks? But I'm just saying, like, he's definitely a little more reserved in his attire now. Like you said, it looks like he's kind of put the do rag away and that kind of thing. So. Shane McMahon and Vince McMahon. Shane airing his probably very real dirty laundry on TV in the kayfabe
Yeah,
way. You never cared about me and never was good enough for you, Dad. Vince has some of the worst facial expressions.
because he's not a good actor.
Yeah, he's a terrible actor.
You're just a bad. He was good when he was being. He was. Look at my fingers. Playing a bad guy.
It's always been about you, Dad.
And it really is like out of every, even though people compare this to what's the HBO show, Succession and stuff like that. It.
Here's Echo.
Oh, someone's Echo.
All right.
And I cannot stand else. Like, thank you. My voice. Is the reason why I can't hear that in here. Okay. But like even with good, I don't like we never see how billionaires act with their kids and stuff like that, right? But this feels like it's an extra crazy. It's still like because it's entertainment as well. It feels like it's an extra hot sauce of crazy. Like before this, they were saying the storyline they wanted Stephanie pregnant. Damn it!
Oh,
Hold on.
I had a question for y'all.
Ask away.
How much is Shane McMahon worth? Like, he's made a lot of money with his other businesses outside WWE.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Do you think it's a possibility that he could try to buy a third of AEW?
I mean, I suppose that's possible. I mean, does Tony Khan need the money? Does he need a partner? I mean, I don't, did the Khan.
Well, his dad's his partner. His dad owns half, and he owns half.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, the Khans have enough money. I don't know that they need another partner. I mean, I don't. And partner. I mean, for all intents and purposes, his dad's a partner on paper. I mean, he has nothing to do with the actual. Not that I'm aware of. The actual business of AEW. I mean, so. It's Tony's company.
Shane wanted to invest in the UFC, and Vince was like, "That's a real sport." Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Person would think you can never have too much money, and if it's only for a third, then he would not have a controlling interest of the company, so he wouldn't be able to like take over or nothing.
Yeah,
but it'll allow him to say that this is my company too.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is that you're probably not going to get any outside co-ownership of AEW. I don't think the Khans need it, and I don't, I think I mean, why? It doesn't make any sense, really, in the scheme of things. I mean, what's up, Tommy? Thanks for joining, as usual. And honestly, like, I mean, you can't get away from the wrestlers because there's only so many out there, and especially if you want to have a good roster. So you've got to have the wrestlers. But if I'm Tony Khan, like, I don't want any association with the McMahon family. I don't want Shane McMahon as part of my company. Like, I'm not interested in that. I don't want that association. I want to do it on my own. I don't want that.
There's been a lot of rumors that about Shane going over there, though.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I'm not Tony Khan, so I'm just saying, I mean, in my personal opinion, again, you can only ignore the talent so much because there's only so many wrestlers out there, especially top-notch wrestlers. But as far as like actually getting into business with the McMahon, I mean, I wouldn't do that. But even if it is Shane, even if it is, whatever, Shane McMahon to depart WWE.
It's hilarious because Paul Heyman was just talking about the fact that they had an argument and Vince crazy about how talking about he had a knife, he gave Shane the knife, you're gonna have to kill me for that idea. And if you don't kill me, I know you're not man enough to do this. And I said, I take consideration. And it's like, what? It's just about, or buy me out and get rid of me like I get rid of my old man. It's like, like you're having this conversation with Shane. No offense, I full hardly think brain fart. I full hardly think that the accusation between Vince, the new accusations of 2022, was an inside job. I really feel like someone handed him. I'm not throwing out names, but I really do think Stephanie and Triple H was like, we got to get rid of this man. It's like, and they try to get him. They try to do it the soft way, where they're like, okay, we'll do the allegations where you're not a complete maniac. Let's do those first. But we're not going to do the because you're still pawpaws for my kids. So we're not going to pull out the last gun that we just found out about. But Joe Crazy behind came back. I'm like, all right, give me the book. I felt like these are all accusations. This is all a conspiracy theory from Anika. But I really do feel like they're like, okay, he came back. All right, here's the last bullet. Here's the last bullet. Shoot him. Like, yeah, tell the press about this last accusation, and if this don't work, we're going to AEW.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's tough. I mean, it feels like both Shane and Stephanie have spent. It's tough when you grow up in a household, right? A lot of people are, to a certain extent, who their parents are. It's hard to get away from your raising and who the things that they've instilled in you. So, and she is definitely they are both definitely Vince McMahon's children. And he is in many respects the same guy that you see on TV and at home, I think. And so, that can't be easy. I understand. So here's the thing. I get that, like, Vince bought WWF from his father.
Right.
At the same time, his dad allowed him that opportunity. He had two options. He had Gorilla Monsoon, who was a partner and wanted to do whatever, and he decided to take his son's offer. I truly believe that all you need to know, whether they wanted it or not, all you need to know about the man Vince McMahon and his relationship with his children is that he sold that company when he was to the point where he couldn't run it anymore or was too old, as opposed to giving it or making some sort of arrangement where his kids could take it over. Now, I'm sure there was something in this deal with whatever that Triple H gets to stay as head of creative and Stephanie gets to do. It's not the fucking same. It is not the same. That's no longer a family-owned company.
Yeah.
Like it was when your dad owned it and made the agreement to sell it to you in 3 payments and let you earn it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or whatever, to a certain extent. Earn it is you can say whatever you want about using that word. So, I mean, that just tells you all you need to know. I mean, and even if Stephanie and Shane don't want it, that's not the point. That's neither here nor there. That just tells you how he feels about them in general, and that it's more important to him, apparently, to die with. I mean, I guess maybe he'll leave the money to them hopefully, or whatever. Not hopefully. It is what it is. Maybe the proceeds of selling it will go to him, but go to them. But I'm just saying, like, to me, that shows you what you need to know about him as a dad and those kind of things. So, the fact that he was willing to give it up as a family business as opposed to whatever. So, and as far as Tommy's question, what would happen if Shane joins AEW? I don't know. I think it would be very interesting to see. I mean, I would be here for it. I guess it depends on what capacity he would join in. If he came in, I mean, I think he's probably past the point where he's Shane O'Mac, best in the world, and he was never really like an overly active wrestler. I mean, there was a time where he was active, but even then it wasn't like every single week. He wasn't what I would call a full-time wrestler ever, despite having a fair amount of matches. At this point, I assume he's past that, so it would have to be in some sort of a management capacity or on-screen personality. And I mean, I like Shane O'Mac. I never really had a problem with him, but I don't know that AEW needs him. And again, I'm not Tony Khan. I have no idea what's going on in Tony Khan's head. For me personally, I would not want to necessarily have that association with the McMahon family. I want to do it on my own. I don't, and it's not like the McMahon family has a great reputation. Now, Shane's reputation is probably a lot better than Vince's, obviously, no doubt, but it's still the McMahon family, and I don't want that guilty by association or association by proxy. I'm not interested in that. Like, I believe even though Vince is gone, it's much like, you're seeing it right now. They're trying to show you this in AEW with Chris Jericho. There are such things as the learning tree and sitting under people and learning from people. And Stephanie and Shane and Triple H to a lesser extent have spent a long time under the learning tree of Vince McMahon. And even though they're not Vince McMahon, they do still have that mindset to a certain extent and some of those, beliefs about things. So, he's in their heads, let's put it that way. So he's, in that regard, he's not completely gone. Not to mention, you can't tell me he doesn't call them. You know what I'm saying? Like when he sees something on Raw or SmackDown he doesn't like, he's not lodging a phone call to Triple H or to Stephanie or whoever. Maybe it's not getting any ground. Maybe it's not what it is, but Sunday dinner, you can't tell me he's not talking about how much Raw sucked last week and why'd you do that? Why'd you book that match? And if it were me, I'd be doing this. And if I, so you know what I mean? And I mean, I don't know.
Like, no, not in official capacity, but if they're still having like last Christmas and last Thanksgiving, right? You can't tell me this slip into the conversation, and it's like you're using your kids. Hey, Papa, let's talk. It's like we're not having a discussion with you, sir. Hey, Papa, okay? Papa's here. Take Papa outside real quick. Like, but I wanna. Hey, you saw the pool? The pool's over here. Come on, let's run the pool.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that it wouldn't make Vince overly happy if Shane joined AEW. At the same time, Vince, I mean, WWE is Vince's baby, and at the same time, he's no longer, an active owner or an active participant per se in theory. So maybe his, investment in whatever is a little less, and maybe he doesn't care. If he's a good dad, he should just care about Shane being happy. It shouldn't really matter, but we already know that's not the case. So I don't know. I mean, it feels like to me if Shane goes to AEW, and this is in no way probably true, but it feels like it's another way of him saying fuck you to his dad. And, if that's the case, it is what it is. I mean, I don't, and of course, maybe that's not it. I mean, he's his own man. He can do whatever he wants to do, but I just,
And the flip side, Vince might like that. Oh, that's the son I wanted. I'm like, you are a crazy man. You are a crazy person. More so with Shane going to AEW, and again, in what capacity? Because I like Shane is Shane, right? I don't see him taking orders from TK, so that's one issue. But in a dream scenario, if there's no gripe and everyone's cool, level-headed, I would be interested. Just to see Vince, it's just like every other wrestler who goes to AEW. Are they going to be different? I would love to see if Shane's going to be different. Not even on the TV show, but just backstage ideas. Will he make stuff? Will he actually like was his ideas actually good, or were they actually crap? Like underground. Is underground AEW look better than underground WWE? Like stuff
Right.
that interests me. Where I'm like, let's give it 3 months and see, and let me just look at the chaos.
No, I mean, I definitely think it would be chaotic. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
I can't imagine it would make Vince overly happy, but who knows? I mean, you never know. And at this point, it doesn't really matter. So, um, I mean, again, Shane is entertaining. So, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing him on my TV again. At the same time, it would feel very weird, even though you've seen him in WCW years ago. It would feel very weird to see him in an outside of a WWE arena and setting at this point. For me, I mean, it'd be very weird.
oh no, it does be weird. But yeah, let's just watch the implosion of the wrestling fan community.
All right. Well, the episode 5 of the Mr. McMahon Netflix documentary is over. And it was okay. I mean, it's fine. The documentary itself, I probably said this and beat a dead horse, or I'm beating a dead horse. It's not really showing a whole lot of what I would call new or shocking stuff. Maybe the 6th episode, because as we talked about, we're coming, more and more current with each episode. So maybe the 6th episode will have a little bit more about what's going on now and took place in 2022. But so far, we haven't really gotten too much into that. And this is basically the end of the Attitude Era and the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression Era, and John Cena coming in, and the new crop of some younger guys, and again, nothing that if you're familiar with WWE documentaries that you haven't seen before, probably. At the same time, it's okay. It's done well, I suppose.
I did want to hear Linda's. I think they really either she didn't answer the questions or y'all didn't ask her, and she said no. That's Linda's choice. But I did want to hear Linda's voice in this episode, especially like the whole Vincent, oh, it was a character. Him kiss Trish. At least let me add. At least tell me if she was really okay with that. I like no offense. I don't care if it's from or not. Get your boobs at my man's face, and I'm right here looking at you do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. For me personally, like I can't say I would or I wouldn't because I haven't been in that position, but I'd like to think that I wouldn't book my family in my wrestling promotion, and I sure wouldn't do crazy behind storylines like cheating on my catatonic wife. I mean, I'm not that to me that it's just tacky and it's degrading to Linda, and it's even if she's okay with it, even if it was her idea. I mean, whatever the case, it's still tacky. It's not good storytelling. It's bad, low hanging fruit storytelling. With WWE, that's what they do to a certain extent. So I mean, it makes sense. It's very soap opera ish, which is kind of what they go for. So
But you can tell
but
how
it's just
crazy it went because come on, the one storyline they wanted Stephanie to get impregnated by Vince. I'm like, and then like, Stephanie was like, okay, look. No, we're not doing that. It's like, man, sir, there is a line. Even though you stepped over the line countless of times, there is a line. Look, we're not crossing this, sir.
there is definitely a line. And he definitely crossed it many times. So yeah, I mean, it kind of is what it is. But WWE leaves us kind of a bitter taste in your mouth just overall. Even though for the longest time it was the only thing there. And I mean, I do when I say I love WWE, it's hard to say that because there is so much like behind it. But at the same time, like I've been a lifelong WWE fan, and I keep watching. So. Um, it is what it is, I guess. All right, that's going to bring us to the end of this episode. I was thinking that we might talk a little bit about Halloween Havoc and maybe a little bit about whatchamacallit. I mean, if you guys want to, we can about Crown Jewel, but I know it's already getting a little late and we've been talking for a while now. So Anika's shaking her head no. So we'll pass on that for now. We'll just give you the little closing up shop rundown here on. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong banner. Where is it? There it is.
We on
On
that though.
Sundays. Oh, yeah, well, I'll get there. I just try to. On Sundays, you can catch Enter the Square Circle, usually 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. Myself and Sammy Joe playing WWE 2K and or whatever other video game it's going to be in the future. Then we're here on the Cookouts, which you're here with us now for live on Tuesdays, every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. We'll come together live and talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling. This week, it was episode 5 of the Mr. McMahon Netflix documentary that we've been watching. Next week is the last episode. And then I think the week after that, we're going to try and start the Lucha Underground watch along as part of the Cookout. So, and I believe CM will be back. So, make sure and join us for that. And every Tuesday, just in general for the Cookouts. You can catch the Cookout on. I believe the audio version of the Cookout if you don't have time to sit down and watch it. And this one will be uploaded at some point this week on all of these audio platforms or podcast platforms that you see on the screen there. Spotify, YouTube Audio, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts. We are here every Friday night for Friday Night Fights. It's Miss Anika and Sammy Joe watching SmackDown and Rampage live, starting with SmackDown at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, where they give you their real-time reactions and opinions to what's going on these shows. Then Saturday morning, myself, Anika, and Sammy Joe sit here and discuss Raw NXT, review NXT, sit here and discuss and review Raw NXT and Dynamite for the week before, grade each show, and declare a winner, i.e. the winner's circle. That's where the show gets its name. As Anika likes to do. There you go. And then Saturday nights, we're here for Saturday Night is All Right, our Collision watch long, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, where we watch Collision live. That's usually CM and somebody else joining her, unless, of course, there's a pay per view or something else going on, or life just be life in, as it is with every one of these shows. So bear with us. As with wrestling, the card is always subject to change. But we do appreciate each and every one of you. All, I think it's 203 or 202 current subscribers. Thank you guys so very, very much. And if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, hit the bell on the YouTube channel. That's for notifications. That's the best way to make sure you get notified every time we put something up on the YouTube channel. So I think that covers it all. And until next time, peace.
Bye.